couple of questions have come in. One of them in particular, which would be interesting on that data management function, is the ability to, well, how do we effectively manage the workflow of these different sort of integration points, right? So if you look at an OMS, PMS, typically the provider will manage that all behind the scenes and usually won't see anything going on, but you kind of get put in a queue for a project and you don't really, I suppose people are interested about how you can ingest that data. How can they go through that process of getting the data in the different file types we can work with and so on and so forth?
Sure, that's a great question, right? So this goes back to where bringing the data into the environment to really leverage that, right? So there are two components to that. One is leveraging a lot of the out-of-the-box connectors we have, which sort of being connected to either the market data or the countings and PBs and whatnot. So that will the first place. And second, in case, let's say there's a custom, a smaller admin, a bespoke file, which you're getting from a given source, internal or external, doesn't make a difference, and you want to quickly ingest that, you can do that within 5 minutes with a few clicks, right? What I just loaded was what we call as our workflow management tool, where it allows a power user, a business user to quickly map a new data source if the need be, and do that. What I'm going to do is like pick a sample position file coming, let's say, assume coming from a new small admin. And as I process this, system's going to, what we're going to do is like what we call as, again, leveraging the ML and LLM models to trying to understand what kind of data mapping is and really propose a data structure as it sort of learns about the data model. And once it's proposed a data structure, you can really create what we create as a template, right? And then that allows, I'm going to quickly show you here. So once it sort of processed the file, it really created what we call as a demo position template. And once you have that, really at that point, you have what we call as quick accelerators to start creating the schema and the data structures and really create a process at that point, right? So that's the key there. So it's in a matter of few clicks and mapping configuration here, you can load any data set at that point in the environment, right? So that's sort of the importance of that.
Okay, perfect. And obviously that's focused on unstructured data in particular, but I don't want to move away from anything. But I think the next session we're going to do on this, we're going to focus on some of the unstructured data capabilities. I think today we're going to focus on the structured data areas, but certainly happy to speak to anyone afterwards around any challenges around the unstructured data and how we're helping clients on that front as well. So that's really helpful. So that's obviously the constructs. The other question that came through was, well, there's been a few others sort of similar on the first one, but this second one was in particular on the scheduling of that data, right? So you know the automation process, the process management effectively. So you're getting these data, you got the constructs of the structured data sort of formatted. How are you then scheduling that on a regular basis? How are you looking for the pitfalls? There might be data missing and sort of that automation point.
That totally makes sense, right? Like as we saw in the beginning, we created a process setup. Now, once you created the process, the way I like to talk about them is like, think about them as a pieces of Lego blocks, right? So system has a lot of those Lego blocks, which any user can combine to create a process workflow. And the process workflow would be anywhere from like, hey, go to a FTP server, download a file, process that, email that. And once that is configured, you can really schedule them at that point. So if I quickly load this one, you will see that. So in this case, you have option to schedule those processes for any time, day, and whatnot. And as the processes are being running, what we do have is like, let's just quickly show one, like it has all the native scheduling capabilities, which is done. So once that a process is scheduled, any failures at that point are captured in the system. And then it goes to, you can review all the processes, success or failure in what we call as process monitor. Any failures are managed proactively, and it goes back to our managed support team, which are actively monitoring that, right? On top of that, there is what we call as full visibility of the files and data is being processed, where you have access to like, okay, what data I loaded, how many files were processed, of those files processed, how many were success or failure, of those files being processed, we processed 10,000 records versus 100 failed. So there's another level of transparency being available on the data lineage and data control checks in that point, right? So it's a combination of able to schedule the processes using the process pipelines, able to proactively monitor those processes, and then having a visibility down level on what type of data is being processed and success and failure rates on those.
Sure. And I suppose the other good scenario to bring up there, just as we sort of wrap things up, and I'm conscious of time, is that delivery, this failure success, is very useful sort of on an investor and client reporting level as well, right? So, you know, if you're looking at that for delivering sort of quarterly, monthly reports to a subset of, you know, institutional clients, perhaps, then obviously you can see whether that's gone out, at what standard the information that's come in that's suitable for that report to go out, and you could do certain checks and balances on that as well.
Yeah. And then sort of I know we are running short of time, but just quickly touch on, as we are working on these things, like we talked about the structured data, there's talked about unstructured data, able to access the data from different dashboard and reporting tools. The platform is an open AI platform, which allows the end users to access the data via open APIs within the Excel in that way. But even taking a step further, we are incorporating the artificial intelligence AI into the platform, allowing the users to really have much more quicker and meaningful conversations in addition to what they already have in terms of reporting.
Sure. Okay, then. I think we are about to wrap. So thank you very much, Sumit. I am going to just quickly share this slide as a thank you for everyone for joining. As outlined, everything's been recorded today, so I'm happy to share amongst those that may have more of an interest and want to see a little bit more. But just want to thank you for taking the time to go through things today. And yeah, any questions or follow-up, please feel free to email myself or Sumit. But yeah, we look forward to welcoming you to the next session, which will be hopefully sometime in November. We'll be communicating on that. But for the time being, thank you very much and wish everyone a very nice day. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you.